I've gone like a year without electricity. Unlike other children who could have relaxed on the weekend, I was out going downtown with her. I jog with the bags and go downtown. You have to first determine in your mind that come hell or high water, life have to be different for you. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Chanella tuning in from St. Catherine, Jamaica. In this video I want to break down everything for you guys. For persons who you're going through generational poverty in your family, you're trying to make life better for yourself, you want to improve your life, you may be in high school, you may be in college. I have a whole story time where I'm going to break down even things that I learned along my journey, the tips that I can give to you that helps me. It's just really just connecting with you guys. I'm talking to you all from my heart. I don't have anything right down or anything. I'm literally just sharing my experience and everything that I've learned as I embark on this journey of trying to break generational poverty from off of my life and my family and trying to improve my life right now. So this is going to be a two-part video. This is part one, where I basically give a synopsis of where I'm coming from, the things I learned, some of the things that I did, and tips along the journey for that. And part two is going to talk about where I am now and where my mental state is now and things that I'm doing now to continue along this journey. So I hope you guys will like it, will share it with somebody that you think it will help to improve their lives. And yeah, I thought it was really important to do this video at the start of the year because I know the New Year blues can really get to persons when you feel like things are not looking up for you. I know it's also that time of the year where a lot of people are also very motivated to try and improve their lives, and so I really wanted to give a practical breakdown of my own experience and hope that it will help someone out there as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video and I hope you guys will enjoy it. As of right now in my life, I am not like rich, as what the word rich would mean in Jamaican terms. I'm not yet rich. I am not yet riding on millions of dollars and things like that, no, but I am way more comfortable than I was the past 4 years, and there for several reasons why. But let me start from the beginning. So you have your mother's side of the family, you have your father's side of the family. On my mother's side of the family, one of the major struggles on that side of the family is poverty. It's lacking basic needs, basic stuff, kind of just living substandard. That's a main thing that I've noticed on my mom's side of the family. On my father's side, while it's not millionaire type of level, it's more middle income, somewhat comfortable, can sustain ourselves to an extent. No, I've always been closer to my mother's side of the family. I live with my mother, I grew up with my mother, so my siblings by my mom's side, I'm much closer to them than I am with my siblings from my dad's side. With my dad has always been in my life. I've only seen him like maybe every few years, but he would always try to help out with my education, so he was very keen on that. When it comes on to housing, basic needs, groceries, like nope. Education, to a level, yes. So throughout prep school, throughout high school, he would try to send lunch money whenever he could. Throughout college, for maybe the first 2 years, he funded me throughout college. From the second semester, my second year to my last year in college, I went on work and travel, made some funds to help out. My church also helped me out with my tuition there, and I completed college. So that is my family dynamic. Knowing that now, I've always lived with my mother. I never want to leave my mom at home alone, to move on to like someone in my father's side of the family or migrate or anything like that. And so my mother's struggles back then had also been my own struggles. And so I kind of grew up in this weird dynamic where every now and then my dad would send lunch money, but everything else was not taken care of in my life. And my mom and dad are not together, by the way. So, she's not going to be like expecting anything from him in that regard. And so while she was going through all the struggles, me being the youngest was also going through those struggles with her. And so I grew up in Crossroad Market, basically, because my mom owned a bar in Crossroad Market. And so, I would sleep on the fridge top after school in the bar while she served the customers and things like that. Then, because she's a good cook, she decided that, okay, she wants to start selling food on Sundays and holidays on the outskirts of Crossroad. So my mom started cooking and selling on public holidays and on Sundays every single weekend, like every Sunday, every single holiday, every single Sunday. So unlike other children who could have relaxed on the weekend, I was out going downtown with her. I juggle with the bags and go downtown. I was there with her in the market. She still had the bar. So what we would do is that on Saturdays, when she come from the market, we would sleep in the market from Saturday night, go straight back till Sunday morning. Sunday morning, no, I would sleep on the fridge top just the same, but my mom would stay up throughout the night and prep all the breakfast that should be sold Sunday morning. So there used to be this man that also sleeps in Crossroad Market, and every morning he would come with the hand cart and help. We would put the hot pot them with the food and everything and carry it out to the front part where she would station her little setup to sell food to people from Sunday morning, go straight into the night. And some of her main customers used to be like police officers, soldiers, people coming from dance party, because by 4 o'clock we were on the front part of the section, the area where she was stationed to sell food. And that's for maybe 4 years there, but my mom did that throughout my journey of high school. But then she got sick. She had to stop working for a number of years. I juggled moving from, where she was to staying with my sister in Portmore, to staying back with her. I've gone like a year without electricity. So I used to go to school, my uniform, them used to crush up. People used to ask me if light got on my yard or if I'm not iron. Eventually, I had to learn how to wash your clothes and like drain, let the water run off of it so you don't wring it, to let the water run out so that it won't look too crushed when it dry. Just not without basic needs. In my Christian testimony video, you guys will hear me talk about not really having anywhere to live. So we would move one place, can't stay there long because we can't sustain ourselves with the rent, go to next place, and it used to be like that whole circle continuously. Now, a lot of people here would ask, so, why your father never helped and things like that. I don't know. It's a little bit more complicated in terms of how that whole family dynamic worked. And I was pretty young at the time. That was something that was between adults. And so at this point, I've never really sat down and asked him why. I think he wanted me to like move in with his family and just stay with his wife, who is also out here in Jamaica. I didn't want to leave my mom. So it was kind of like a pick or choose situation. But one thing for sure was that he always helped whenever he could in terms of sending me to school or trying to fill in the gaps where lunch money was concerned. So that's kind of like how I grew up. I found my church when I was 16 years old. Thanks be to God. My pastor started teaching us on so many different areas of our lives on how to branch out, how to improve your life, you know, how to improve yourself, how to make things different, break the generational curse of poverty. And so I always knew that, especially my mom's side of the family, I had to like be different. I always knew that I couldn't afford to get pregnant early, you know. I couldn't like what other people had the freedom to do. I knew I couldn't look in those directions. I knew I had to like be different, or I would end up, you know, going down the same road. And so from very early on, from I was about 16, I'd already made up my mind that come hell or high water, life for me will be different in the name of Jesus. And so in this video, the first thing I want to tell you is that if you realize that your family has this dynamic where there's a generational struggle of poverty and you want to improve your life, you have to first determine in your mind that come hell or high water, life have to be different for you. Because I feel like if you don't have that mentality, when things get rough, when things get hard, then you're gonna just throw in the towel and can't bother. So I'm gonna say that's probably like tip number one, in conditioning your mind that it has to be better no matter what. Now, I want to also add that it's important that while you're conditioning your mind to let life be better for you, it's also good to also have your faith, because one, that will really help you to bounce back just mentally from the hardships that, you know, you will go through while you're trying to improve your life. Two, it will also give you a community. The times where you feel like, you know, you can't do this on your own, there'll be a community there to help strengthen you, and you'll also walk into your purpose and your calling and the exact plan that God has for you. So while I condition my mind that you come hell or high water, I have to be different, my life have to be different, I was also leaning into my faith a lot, guys, and God remained faithful. Trust me, he remained faithful, and I'll get to that and show you exactly what I mean. Like, I'm not just saying in carrying me here to this point, but every single step of the way. Now, what did it look like when I say come hell or high water? I had to, like, my life had to be different. It looked like this: me telling my mom during the times when I didn't have lunch money that, listen, don't worry about the lunch, just give me lunch money, just give me bus fare. So sometimes I would go to school with literally, at the time I was a teenager, so bus fare for teenagers was probably like $50 or something like that. I would sometimes only go to school with the $100 or the $150, and thanks be to God for my friends at the time. We used to always share lunch and them stuff there. It didn't matter to me that I didn't have lunch, or I didn't have this, or I didn't have that. I just knew that I wanted to get to school so that I could actually get the education that I need and graduate, because that was the first step I knew I needed to take. So when I finally graduated high school, my guidance counselor, thanks be to God, that was Favor right there, reached out to me and she was like, hey, there's this sixth form program at this church and they would like to sponsor a student. Are you interested? Thanks be to God, I said yes. And so I was sponsored for my sixth form education, and that's where I was able to get my CAPE. Now, applied for UE, got into UE. At this point, my father and I decided that, all right, how we're going to break down this tuition is for you to go on the payment plan. A lot of people today, when they're supposed to go to UE, they're like, oh, no, I'm going to put on a payment plan. And oh, you have the money. You have the money, sis. Like, when it comes on to trying to get your education and improve your life, instead of pride something there, it have a drop. Period, point blank. And that is point number two. The pride have to drop. So with the crush up uniform, I still got school. Even though them they laugh off of me, I didn't care. I still went to school. Never have enough money for lunch, but I had bus fare. I went to school. Never couldn't pay my entire tuition. I got on the payment plan, and I was able to cancel OUE and still do my exams and not get barred because I was on the payment plan. And so what the payment plan did was that it break down the tuition. So every month you would make a payment to UE, and that would help you through. And that's basically what I did for the first year and a half of UE. Now, during that time, my mom was still sick, but she was becoming a Christian now. We were kind of living with one of my brothers. Life wasn't as bad, but it wasn't good either. It was still a struggle, you know, getting to school every now and then, but things were kind of looking up a little bit. And thanks be to God, every step of the way God sent somebody to help, you know, whether it was my godmother, whether it was a sibling just suddenly reaching out to me, whether it was somebody from my church. Like God just, there was always somebody. Like looking back, there was always somebody there. And I remember I used to always pray like, God, just help me get through this, help me get through this journey, help me get through to college, please. And guys, I'm gonna make sure some of them will work. Like when you know that you only have one shot at this, when you know, say, yo, if you fail, if you drop out, there is no money for you even do nothing over. Listen, man, listen. In my second semester, nobody knew. At the time, my father was having an issue with his job, so he was not able to send money to pay for my tuition. Nobody knew that I owed money for my tuition. Nobody. I didn't tell anybody. I just kind of had it in my heart and was kind of praying to God about it in my heart. It's like, God, me just go to school, and I know where the money could come from, but me just go to school. And on my birthday that year, it was a Thursday, and I went to church. My church has Bible school on a Thursday, and my pastor's a prophet, guys. But I never said anything to my pastor. My mother never said nothing. She didn't even know where they are going at all, because she was still nursing her illness. I kid you not. I was sitting in the service, and my pastor called me out of the service in front of everybody and said, God says we are supposed to pay off your tuition. Guys, it's like I was going to the church for like maybe 2 years, 2.5 years to 3 years, and I was still shook, because I was just like, oh my gosh, yo, my ball. So till I was just shocked. Like I knew God would have always provided for me, but just that way just showed me how much God actually cared, and how much God cared about the details, and that he really is a provider. Once you remain faithful to him, he will honor your faithfulness. Like I kid you not, and by the next day, my entire tuition was paid off, and I had money left back. You can even ask Celebration Church for let me tell. I even called I remember I called my pastor. I was like, your money leave back, should I give it back to the church? And he was like, listen, just go buy ice cream for you and your mom. No joke, I didn't tell nobody some of my own money, you know. And God literally told my pastor that the church should pay for my tuition, and for that semester my tuition got cleared, and I am just so grateful, so grateful. I'll never forget that moment. A lot of times now in my life, when I'm going through storms and going through things, I remember that moment where nobody knew that I owed a cent to Yui, and God took it upon himself to actually advocate for me so I could get to go through school. And so guys, when you remain faithful to God, when you remain faithful to the calling and the walk, I'm telling you, God will honor your faithfulness. And that is going to bring me to part number 4. Remain faithful. God will honor your faithfulness. No, I also went on work and travel in my final year, so that tuition got taken care of. In my final year, I decided, all right, you know what, I still need to help my dad. 1 more year to go. Let me go on work and travel. Work and travel takes money. Okay, it was worth it, but it took a lot of money. And thanks be to God, there was somebody at my church. I don't want to disclose her name because I know how she is, but I'm just gonna call her Lady L. And Lady L, I told Lady L what I wanted to do. She bought into the vision, and this is again me dropping the pride and actually going and seeking help. So you see how important that is. I told Lady L, I want to go and work and travel, but I need to find $1,600 in order to go. I think I had to find a deposit, and I don't remember if it's all of the money she lent me or if it was half of the money. Either way, she lent me a lot of money, like over 100,000 Jamaican dollars, if I'm remembering correctly. Like she probably even lent me all of it, to be honest. And she bought into the vision, and she lends me the money. My father eventually was able to come up with some funds to help me pay for the ticket to go to US and to also go to the US embassy. So that part also got taken care of, thanks be to God. And I went on work and travel for 4 months. I was able to pay back Lady L, and I was able to pay for my first semester. I was able to pay for my first semester when I came back. I was able to buy my mom a new glasses, and I think my father helped me in the final semester. That was when COVID started coming in. I was finishing up school online, things like that. And so I was able to graduate UE. Now, one thing I did not mention was that throughout my final year at UE, you had to do this thing called internships, which is basically like, not every internship will pay you. Some of them you had to volunteer, and for me, I volunteered. Now, this wouldn't be the first time I'm volunteering at a media house, to be honest. When I was in high school, I volunteered at the Gleaner company, and I ended up getting a job there, and that actually helped me a few times. I forgot to mention that while I was going through high school. It wasn't a lot. It was like sometimes $7,000, $10,000 on a good month. You get paid per article. So at the time I was like a youth writer, and we'll do this. We used to do the youth magazine, and so that would help me every now and then. So I volunteered, ended up getting a job. I went on this internship in my final year, and even though it was to help with my credit, like I said, I still had to find myself to work every single day without getting a cent. What that did for me though was open up a lot of opportunities for me. And that brings me to my next point of doing things to improve your life, especially in Jamaica. Do not be afraid to volunteer and to get yourself out there, because honestly, experience is what sells. Experience is what sells, and networking is what sells. And sometimes the only time you can get those two things is through volunteering. And so that is something I've always remained open to. I've never closed myself off from trying to volunteer with people. So I volunteered at CVM, and then a few months later, before I graduated UE, I got a call to say, hey, you know, there's a spot open up on the Sunrise Morning Show team. It's for an assistant producer. We remember you from when you used to work with us. Would you be interested in coming in for an interview? Guys, who are gonna say no? Who is going to say no? At the time, we were living in Washington Gardens in Kingston, and I was living with a brother of mine and mommy. He used to put part of the rent money, and my other brother, who is in England, began at that point in time. I think he had begun helping with my mom's side of the rent, so they would both try to split. So things were looking a little bit good right there. Everybody was beginning to kind of look at me, you know, because you know, I'm approaching the end of university, so I need to kind of start pulling my weight and them things there. So I took I went to the interview, I did the interview, and like literally a few days after I got the call to say I was chosen. And guys, that was my first big break in terms, that was my first job, like my first big person job. I got that before I graduated UE, and it was good. It was good while it lasted. I met some amazing people. Still talk to them today. Big up Natasha and Renard. I also got the chance to network with a lot of different persons and learned a lot more about the media industry in Jamaica, and kind of sharpened my focus on, okay, you know, what type of journalism I want to do, things like that. I was able to, at that point in time, you know, I started paying rent, helping with the rent at home and certain bills at home. So things are beginning to kind of look, you know, look up there. A few months later, I was always looking for different journalism jobs, because I knew I always wanted the experience of what it felt like to be a reporter. And so I applied to JIS, where I'm working right now. And finally, and I was applying for months, by the way, I was applying for months there. But finally I got a call and I went in for the interview. I cried the day after I cried after I did the interview because I thought I did so horribly. Like I was stuttering. I felt like my whole confidence just went like this during that interview. So when I got the call to say that I got the job, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I was just like, God, if this ain't you, I don't know who else it is. And so I got the job, and that's where I'm working to this day. So that's like a whole synopsis that I tried to summarize to, explain where I am now. Well, you'll learn more about where I am now fully in part 2 of this video, but I really wanted to point out some things that stood out to me as I reflected on my journey. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in part 2 of this video. This is Chanella, and I am tuning out of St. Catherine, Jamaica. Bye.